WDJO Cincinnati.
The following is a paid program. Its views and opinions are not necessarily those of this station or its management.
Good morning, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour starring Gary Rossignol of RE/MAX Preferred Group. To be part of the program, dial 513-563-1480 to get your answers to questions about your home and property. That number again, 513-563-1480. Now, here's Gary.
Good morning to my loyal listeners who listen and tune in every week. I really appreciate you. Today is a very special day. Nobody knows this. It's National How Do I Change the Clock on My Microwave Day. That's my little spiel to remind you to move your clocks forward tonight. I don't know if you go to bed at 11, 12, if you're going to wait until 2. I think it's 2 o'clock in the morning. All the electronic devices change automatically, but I don't know. I've got one in the kitchen, one in each bathroom. I got one in the and their manual, my music room. I'm going to have to go in and actually change them, or I'm going to be running an hour late tomorrow. My guest this morning will shed some light on our questions about title insurance and what a title company's role is in a real estate transaction. I'd like to introduce you to, and please welcome, the marketing director with Priority National Title. His name is Wesley Meyer.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, we're getting a standing ovation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
So, if you, I find you to be a very interesting person. So let's talk right after we do this. Right at the top of the show, I usually give my listening audience a chance to win a $10 gift card to our favorite coffee joint, Starbucks. Our phone number here in the studio is 513-563-1480. Of course, if you haven't won in the past 60 days, then you qualify and can win today if you answer this question. Back in 1975, I had a #1 hit single that was a remake of a song by the group Bread. It was called If. I also played a policeman on the TV show Kojak. Who am I? Who loves you, baby? Remember that catchphrase?
Yeah.
That's maybe too easy. I don't know. 513-563-1480. If you know who that person is. He didn't actually sing in the song. He did a vocal over of the song. It's kind of interesting. But also, for my friends, my fans, everyone who tunes in on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, if you call 513-563-1480 and say you want Home Expo tickets, I've got a pair of free tickets. Just ask for them. Dan will get your information, and I will mail them out to you this week. It starts next weekend. It's from March 15th to the 17th, the Sharonville Convention Center. So if you're thinking of remodeling or repainting or redoing your kitchen or bathroom, you might want to go to the Home Expo. A lot of my friends, companies will be there with their wares and things that they're offering to help you with updating your house. So there you go. Well, Wesley, first we met at H7. We want to shout out to Clayton and Angel.
Yeah. If they're watching, hey, Clay, hey, Angel. Love H7.
They built. I've been with them since the beginning of time, I think.
Really?
And yeah, they've really built quite an organization, and it's they're such sweet folks, and it's just to help you and I communicate more with other small, medium to large businesses to help get the word out that we're here to help. And a lot of training, a lot of neat things that they share. So thank you for coming to H7. You've been a member now for what? Just a few months, huh?
A little over a year, yeah. I had to do my first annual renewal, and that was a surprise to me that it's been a year.
Wow.
But I don't know why nobody told me about this when I first got into the industry. Like, I didn't find out about H7 until I've been doing what I'm doing for 6 years,
Uh-huh.
and I've done all the other networking groups and been a part of many other groups. And H7, the format, the people, just to be able to go what works with my schedule. With real estate, we're all over the place.
Yes,
any
we
given
are.
day, and it's not like you could set your schedule and rely on it tomorrow. You always got to just go where the business goes, or go where the business is, and H7 allows me to still do that, but also get the benefits of networking and being with people that genuinely the best return on investment I've ever had as far as a networking group goes.
Yeah.
So huge
Tell
shout
us-
out to Clay.
Tell us a little bit what the role of a title company is in a real estate transaction, Wesley.
Yes, the title company. And I usually joke that we have the boring part of real estate. The home inspectors, real estate agents, you get to touch and feel and see the house. And then, the mortgage.
You never get to see the house. do you?
I don't. I get to see all the boring paperwork and all the numbers and stuff. But that's it's not the most fun part of the business, but that's where we like to try and challenge the status quo. We like to come in and try and make it fun and enjoyable. And that's why I feel like I embrace my role. And we are as a title company, we're the neutral third party that sits between the buyers and the sellers. And that's our job I say, how do you define a title company? Well, I say we're an escrow and fraud prevention agency. I think I can start conversation and explain to you exactly what we do based on those two things. So fraud being one major thing that we're ensuring that when you buy a house or buy a property that all parties involved, that there's no fraud being committed. And we have to do our job and our due diligence to ensure that doesn't happen. And that's where we go to work for your clients. And that's what we do. And
in a real estate transaction, the buyer actually has the opportunity to pick the title company.
Here in Cincinnati, yeah. Depends on what part of the country you're in or what municipality you're in. I know in Columbus, Ohio, and they pick, the seller picks. Here in Cincinnati, the buyer gets to pick.
Okay. And the title company, you're responsible to get if there's a loan, you put the mortgage paperwork together, you collect all the funds, you pay the taxes, you pay off the previous mortgage, you have to file everything with the county.
Mm-hmm. Who are super slow sometimes. Everyone just asks us, when can you guarantee this is going to be here, and how long is it going to take for us to get the deed? And it's like, well, 3 to 4 weeks. I can't really tell you. And they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, we're at the mercy of the county sometimes. If things are super busy, it gets backlogged, and it's just we do the best we can.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of elements that are out of our control. But we do our best to ensure we do what we can.
Yeah. You mentioned the fraud prevention part of it. And
Yep.
that's the scary part, because I always tell my clients, whether I'm representing the buyer or the seller, because I don't like being a dual agent. I refuse to be a dual agent. I can't separate and work.
Represent your client.
Yeah, I can't give them the highest and best representation as a buyer agent for the buyer when I'm giving the highest and best representation to the seller. It's a conflict of interest to me, so I don't do that. But a lot of realtors do, and if they can do it successfully, fine. But I see most complaints come down to our Ohio Association of Realtors, which deals with agency, dual agency, and the failure to take care of the earnest money on time. That's another big.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that a little bit today. How we kind of done some things to help out with that process. A lot of people still do a little old school about how they go about that, and there's some new ways that we can help adapt and allow it to be a little easizer. Not everybody has checkbooks nowadays. So.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, working with millennials, they go, write a check. What's that? How about my credit
Google,
card?
how do I write a check?
Yeah, I want to do the thing online. So we're here to help. We got to move with the trends. A big part of that comes up, and I tell my clients ahead of time, and I try and explain it to them. They're going to ask you about purchasing closing protection. So if it's a buyer, they may be bringing a sizable down payment to the closing in the form of a wire transfer, which has been wired from their account to your account. Then it has to go from your account to the seller's account sometime within an hour or two, or maybe 6 or 8 or 10 hours after the closing happens. Those funds will show up. So during that period of time, you're in you have the money,
Mm-hmm.
and the closing protection protects the party delivering that money until it gets delivered to where it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've heard a lot of closing agents say, "Oh, this $25 is that covers you in case we steal your money."
You're just tipping the guy. You don't need to pay for it, Yeah. I'm like, $25 tipping me. What would that get me nowadays anyway?
Right, exactly.
Can't even get me a flight out of
So
here.
explain what it really covers.
Yeah, so closing protection coverage, I'm required by the state of Ohio to offer it. And I take it very serious at the closing table. There's two things that I go over that I stop and make sure that I get everybody's attention while I'm going through it. Because I don't want to have to explain it numerous times. I want to make sure everyone understands what they're purchasing if they want this option. So it is optional. So when I'm going over it, closing protection coverage, what I say is we're the neutral third party. We're the title company. Like you said, you explained it perfectly. All the money is going to go through us. And, you sent your wire, which you were standing at the bank. And I saw, the sizable amount. It's probably a lot of money that you may have not spent this amount of money at one time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that that you're comfortable, that once you send it, that we have it. And I confirm with them right then and there. I stop and I look and I make sure we've got your wire. Okay, so we got it. All right, now that I have it, now when I go to make the seller's payoff, which you don't want their mortgage, so I'll make sure that gets taken care of, right? And then I want to make sure all the parties that are involved are paid appropriately. And then, so we're using your money and the money that we get from the bank, which at that point, we still have to make sure we get that money too. We're collecting all the funds. And then when I give it to the seller, making sure that when I give the seller their money, that, we handle it the way that they need it done. So we have a big responsibility here with everyone's money. So if you think that we're ever going to make a mistake or there's going to be a chance that a wire may be intercepted, this is what this protection coverage covers you for.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to buy it as a buyer, it's $20.
$20.
$20. And it's up to you. It's completely optional. If you want to purchase it, check right here.
And they just wired you $25,000,
Mm-hmm.
$20. If your account got hacked or something funky went wrong with that wire transfer, their $25,000 is covered.
Yeah, correct. And that's what drives me nuts about that too is if the buyer's wiring that money, their bank will charge them sometimes a wiring fee, which is around $15 to $20. But what does that wiring fee do? Well, they say it's a convenience fee. Well, how's it convenient? They just sent it, and then they say, okay, when's that going to hit my account? We can't tell you. So okay, you maybe pay a convenience fee, and now you can't tell me when it's convenient. It's not convenient at all. And so that's where I always just kind of chuckle the way the industry is. But yeah, and when I'm going through the conversation, I have the buyers, and as the buyers are going through and making their decision, usually they're talking, and I go over to the seller and I say, you're getting a screaming discount today at $55.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say screaming discount, just to kind of joke to make it funny, just to let them know, because the buyer sent me $25,000, but the seller may be getting $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's a lot.
And you're responsible for that
Correct.
$200,000. It may be 5 minutes, it may be 5 hours, it may be 10 hours.
Correct. And give you an example. Specifically yesterday, we're closing. It was 4:25. Okay, wire cutoff's 4:30. It's Friday. So at 4:30 on Friday, if we don't get this wire out in the next 5 minutes, you're not going to get it sent until Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Mr. Seller, I owe you $519,000. I remember the number yesterday. I'm terrible with numbers. Maybe that's why I like the title side. I'm a numbers geek. But I said, we are going to wire you $519,000. And he's closing on their other house on Tuesday. And he's like, we need this money now. So if I gave him a check, there's going to be a hold on that money, right? So I said, my best advice would be, let's do the wire. And he's like, let's do it. So I had him fill out the wire for him, but I said, make sure if you accept or defer this coverage, we're going to hold that money from Friday because we're not going to be able to send it. It's 4/28 now.
Till Monday morning.
Yeah, till Monday morning. So I can guarantee you it's going to be in your account by Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have it by the end of the day Monday, regardless, because we're going to issue the wire in the morning of Monday. Just know that from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that money's in our account. You're going to leave today. You sold a house, and you're leaving without a check.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird feeling,
Yeah, right.
The reason most people are selling is because they're wanting the money.
Right.
So I hate doing that for people. So that's why I'm really serious about that closing protection coverage. I said, if you leave today, you're leaving without a check. You sold your property. You're homeless now.
There's no guarantee that money's going to be there when we go to wire it on Monday morning.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that could happen.
But this insurance company is going to ensure the fact that we collected it and it will be delivered to you regardless for the $55.
Yep.
bingo.
Done. And I take cash or check.
Now my clients look at me and they say, should we buy this? Well, I can't advise you to or not to buy it. Mm-hmm. I'm a realtor and I'm not an attorney, and I can't advise you anything legally, and this is hedging on the legal aspect of representation, and I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But we give you all the facts, and you make your decision. And if you decide to take it, great. If you don't, you know what the responsibility could be. Yeah.
And if they defer, I usually just go, okay, I'm glad, thank you guys for your attention. I didn't just get this embroidered last night. I didn't just come in here to try and look super legit. We've been in business 24 years. Mm-hmm. You can, we wouldn't be in business if we weren't ensuring this gets done right. So just to kind of give them peace of mind, knowing, that we're going to do our jobs. This is what we're legally obligated to do.
Another insurance that is not understood very well, because anywhere else in the country except in our part of the country, is title insurance and owner's title insurance. And we're going to touch on that when we come back from our break. First, want to mention that tonight, whether you go to bed at 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock, I think 2 o'clock is when the clocks automatically move forward. Make sure you change all your clocks, move them forward, or you're going to show up for church tomorrow morning an hour late. And by the way, AARP put out a little blog. It's not daylight savings time, it's daylight saving time. You're not savings time, you're saving time. And it wasn't invented by Ben Franklin, and it wasn't implemented for farmers either. Germany was the first country to implement daylight saving time, and it's not a worldwide national phenomenon. So just wanted to point those things out. I would like to express my gratitude to all our troops, veterans, first responders, and our heroes in service and healthcare. That's our nurses, doctors, nurses' aides, healthcare staff, the EMT staff, police, and firefighters. So often they deal with life and death situations, and especially this time of year. Thank them and keep them in your thoughts and prayers. The Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour is brought to you today by Wesley Meyer with Priority National Title. Their phone number is 513-847-1310, or look them up on the web at PriorityNationalTitle.com. We're going to take a break. We're going to have a moment with Miles, and then we're going to talk about racing for vets. I love this concept. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour on WDJO 1480 AM, now on FM 99.5 and 107.9.
The house is a rockin', don't bother knocking, yeah, the house is a rockin', don't.
Priority National Title Services is a locally owned title company licensed in 23 states, catering to residential, commercial, cash, and construction closings. Priority National Title has been serving clients for over 20 years, with offices in Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. Priority National Title offers title lien searches with a variety of services, including traditional closings, drive-up, and outdoor closings, and remote location closings. Priority National Title works real estate hours, with closings scheduled 7 days a week until 11:30 p.m. Call Priority Title today at 513-847-1310 or visit priority-national.com.
This is Burton Cummings, the voice of a generation. Burton Cummings, 60th Anniversary Hits Tour. September 25th at Taft Theater. From the original voice of the Guess Who's classic hit songs to his incredible solo career, Burton Cummings and his band. Reserved seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and the Taft Theater box office.
Join the Ohio State University Alumni Club of Greater Cincinnati's official Game Watch Party at O'Brien's Bar and Grill, 1998 Madison Road in O'Brienville, the hottest ticket in town for all things OSU athletics. As an official Alumni Club member, you'll enjoy food and drink specials every game all season long. Not a club member yet? Sign up today at cincinnati.alumni.osu.edu. Gather your friends, wear your scarlet and gray, and head over to O'Brien's Bar and Grill for the best Ohio State game day experience. The Ohio State University Alumni Club of Greater Cincinnati and O'Brien's Bar and Grill, where Buckeye pride comes alive. Visit cincinnati.alumni.osu.edu for all club news, updates, and upcoming events.
Dr. Peck is probably, without a doubt, the best in Cincinnati. If you're comfortable with your smile, then you don't have a problem laughing or smiling at the situation or whatever it might be. I've never had a problem that Dr. Peck didn't solve. He does such a good job. They're very natural looking. Dr. Peck puts the patient first.
For your own beautiful new smile, call Dr. Fred Peck at 513-621-7666 or visit pecksmiles.com.
I'm Judy King, and I love my new smile.
Did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Get on. Let's rock the house.
Thanks for listening and watching. We are now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, which is called X. My name is Gary Rossignol. I am a certified residential specialist, better known as Cincinnati's rock and roll realtor with RE/MAX Preferred Group. And speaking of RE/MAX Preferred Group, this is the captain of our ship, Mr. Miles Beersford. He calls in every Saturday morning with his interesting, helpful, educational moments. We call it The Moment with Miles. So here he is. Good morning, Miles.
Hey, Gary, rock and roll, my friend. Gary, this coming Thursday will be Pie Day, March 14th. Do you know that apple pie is not the most favorite in the United States? According to a survey by the 2024 Farmer's Almanac, pecan pie is favored by 15 states. Apple pie is only favored in 14 states. Key lime is favored in 4 states, and coconut and pumpkin tied, being the favorite pie in 3 states each. And that's this morning's Moment with Miles.
That's a good one, Miles.
That's awesome.
That's this Thursday is National Pie Day. How about that?
Interesting.
I bet key lime pie is number 1 in Florida.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Citrus pie. Yeah.
That's a good one, Miles. Thank you very much for calling in. That is the captain of our ship, Mr. Miles Beersford, along with his lovely wife, Christine. They are the owners of RE/MAX Preferred Group, which is the largest RE/MAX brokerage in the entire state of Ohio. And I'm so happy and proud to be part of that organization. Later in the show, we're going to have a visit with Bill Kerrigan of the Dragonfly Foundation. My guest next week, I can't wait for this, Adam Kroc with Area-Wide Home Inspections. He's my go-to guy with home inspections. He has been really busy lately doing Indian Hill mansions. He did one the other day. He said it takes him all day. Yeah. I want to talk to him about that, find out do their toilets flush different than a $300,000 house?
Yeah. He said I think there was like 13 bathrooms or something.
Something like that, yeah.
I was like, that's a lot of toilet paper.
Thanks to all my regular listeners. We've got Carol from South Lebanon, Betty Sanders and Steve Templin, Jane Reel, Martha Meacham, Felicia from Mason, Mike Carroll, Mike and Nancy Little from Indiana, Lonnie Lemaster, my family, and all the many realtor friends that tune in each week. I hope my realtor friends are tuning in today because this discussion is very, very important. Paul Schickler and Jackie Rigner were winners of the trivia question, and the answer was, who loves you, baby? Telly Savalas. And I'll do a little bit you'll hear a little piece of his hit song, If, in my music history next segment. If you have any questions or any comments for us this morning, my guest is Wesley Meyer with Priority National Title. Call us at 513-563-1480. The one thing I found refreshing when we met was your eagerness to tell the world about your racing for vets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you jump right in and start telling me your passion for our vets. I have the same passion for our veterans. They get a bad deal when it comes to their housing. Mm-hmm. The ones with families, it's terrible, and they come back. They they lose limbs, they lose their lives, they come back. PTSD, I think it is.
The invisible wounds of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they need all the support we can give them.
100%, absolutely. And growing up, one of the things I'm most envious of about my generation, I just turned 30, by the way. Looking back, I'm just thinking to myself, all of the men in my family, and my great uncles, all of them had to have served at one point in their lives. That was something that I always feel like my generation takes for granted. And when it comes to that, I have a great uncle that was one of the best storytellers. He dedicated his whole life to the military, retired working out of Fort Knox, and my Uncle Duke. And if you talked to him, he would have told you he served in the War of 1812 and the Revolutionary War, and his war stories. They were just he was such a good storyteller. You would believe it. You would believe that he was in the Revolutionary War.
He's 200 years old.
Yes, yeah. He told every story. It was you're just as a kid, you're locked in listening to it, and I will never forget my Uncle Duke for that. And he was a master sergeant in the military, and actually, as at 30, going through my 20s. My friends' circles have changed over time, and what I'm finding is a lot of my friends and the guys that I hang around with and my drinking buddies, my go-karting buddies, all the people that I've really surrounded with, all of them served in the military at one point. And I've never want them to go without thinking that I've not been grateful for their service. Yeah, we're great friends, this and that, but there's also something about me that is just so appreciative of, I went to college, and everyone was pushed in, I think, my generation to go to college, and military was just kind of like where you go if you if you're just not a scholar, or, you have no other option, which my opinion of it now is completely different, because all of my friends that are super successful, that are buying houses, that are financially stable and secure, that have great benefits, and all of them went into the military. And I'm just looking back at it going, man, that is something that I wish I would have done. I may still have an option. My brother and I were talking about officer school the other day. I have entertained that idea at one time, but yeah, my best friend, he was a Marine, and I don't like to say former Marine, because when you're that's a lifetime commitment.
Right.
So, but the Racing for Vets program, when I got into go-karting, for the first moment that I saw it, I was like, this is amazing. I've always wanted to find a nonprofit that I can support, and the Racing for Vets program is all about supporting veterans coming back from service that have and that are rehabilitating from the invisible wounds of war. And one of the hardest things to do is adapt and integrate to society and what normal life is like. And, a lot of the guys that are struggling with PTSD, there's a lot of emotion that they feel that is associated with negative things. And the idea of Racing for Vets program is to associate those emotions with something fun and enjoyable. The social community around racing, the adrenaline you get when you're in a go-kart, those feelings are typically associated with negativity. And the idea is you get that adrenaline, and it gives you the goosebumps, and you feel good about it again. So it's trying to train them to remember this is, you're allowed to feel good about this.
Yeah.
We got to train you to feel, and that was what really resonated with me. I thought was so special.
So you took your passion for go-kart racing and your passion for the military, and you put those together with your company, Priority National Title, who has a racing division.
Yeah, Priority National Title Racing. Yeah,
and that's remarkable. That's a great story.
Really gonna give it some wings this year. So I want to see where it goes.
Tune in Sunday nights at 7 o'clock for John Englehart and Soda Shop Sunday right here on WDJO. The Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour is brought to you today by Wesley Meyer with Priority National Title, and their phone number is 513-847-1310, or look them up at PriorityNationalTitle.com. And you can put in Racing for number 4 Vets, and they have a Facebook page with a lot of information on
website with a link to donate.
And go there and check them out. Don't go away. Coming up next is my music history, and then is your money secure in a real estate transaction? Well, that's a big question. We'll talk about it. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour on WDJO, 1480 AM, now on FM 99.5 and 107.9.
Have you been thinking about selling your house, or maybe thinking about downsizing, and the process just seems overwhelming? Either way, we've got the answers. Gary Rossignol, real estate pro at RE/MAX Preferred Group and host of the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour, has put his vast real estate knowledge to work for people like you. He can help you put together a plan for selling your home or finding a new place to settle down. And why is now the best time to make your move? Rent prices are always going up, so buying a home is your best option. Let Gary walk you through the process. Call him today at 513-777-2402. That's 513-777-2402 to get started. He's licensed in Ohio and Kentucky, so he can help you out no matter where you live.
Voted Best Singer, Best Show, Best Headliner.
And they called it a feeling of
Donny Osmond. June 26th, the Andrew J. Brady Music Center. Donny Osmond.
never too late to start.
On sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Do you need new tires? Hi, I'm Robert Nolan from John Nolan Auto Service. If you need new tires at competitive prices, call us at 859-261-8833. With manufacturer rebates up to $100, we're sure to find the right tires at the right deal to make you happy. Call John Nolan Auto Service at 859-261-8833.
You know, it's easy to turn your unwanted, broken, or unused gold and silver jewelry and coins into needed cash. Gold and silver class rings, wedding bands, and coin collections can all be turned into needed cash fast at Franklin Street Coin Company in Evendale. They are paying more because they buy more. Get the highest prices available fast at Franklin Street Coin Company, a proud sponsor of Ohio State sports. Go Buckeyes!
Parliament Funkadelic featuring George Clinton, just for the funk of it. The final tour. May 28th at the Andrew J. Brady Music Center. With special guest Dumpster Funk. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Parliament Funkadelic featuring George Clinton. Just for the funk of it. The final tour.
My girl fell in love with a singing group from England far away. She lost her mind, she lost her heart when they began to play.
This is one of my favorite parts of the show. It's time for Gary's Music History. And on this day in 1964, Capitol Records released a song called Letter to the Beatles by the Four Preps. The lyrics describe a boy lamenting the fact that he's lost his girlfriend to the Fab Four. On its first day, the record shot to number 85 on the charts and looked like the Preps were going to have another hit on their hands. Unfortunately, they included a few bars from I Want to Hold Your Hand without permission, and Capitol was forced to withdraw the single to avoid a lawsuit. Shame on them. On this day in 1966, the Beach Boys started recording the Brian Wilson and Tony Asher penned song God Only Knows, which, when released in May of 1966, was the 8th track on the group's Pet album Pet Sounds. It became a number 2 single in 1966 and the B-side of Wouldn't It Be Nice when released in the U.S. On this day in 1968, Bob Dylan started a 10-week run at number 1 on the chart with John Wesley Harding. The album marked Dylan's return to acoustic music after 3 albums of electric rock music and was exceptionally well received by critics. The commercial performance was considered remarkable, considering that Dylan had made Columbia Records release the album without much publicity. On this day in 1971, Led Zeppelin appeared at Leeds University, Leeds, England, during their Back to the Clubs tour. This was the first tour which saw Zeppelin performing Stairway to Heaven, this song, Black Dog, and Going to California. The answer to the trivia question. On this day in 1975, actor Telly Savalas was at number 1 on the singles chart with his version of David Gates from Bread song If. Savalas was currently high in the TV ratings playing the policeman Kojak.
The you I've come to know.
On this day in the year 2016, a study by the National of Advanced Nursing reported that pop records set a bad example by portraying aging and old people in a negative light, focusing on dying and physical decline. Researchers trawled the musical archives from the 1930s to present day for any tracks mentioning old age. The majority, 55 out of 76 songs, focused on bad aspects of aging. The Beatles and Elton John featured on the negative list, along with Pulp and this band, The Who, with Their Generation. Born on this day back in 1942, Mark Lindsay, who is an American musician, best known as the lead singer of the rock band Paul Revere and the Raiders. After their first chart-hitting song, Like Long Hair, they decided to use Paul Revere's name as a gimmick and bill themselves as Paul Revere and the Raiders. They began to dress in Revolutionary War-style outfits. Mark Lindsay carried the theme a bit further by growing his hair out and pulling it back into a ponytail, which became his signature look. Lindsay and the group caught the attention of Dick Clark, who was developing Where the Action Is, an afternoon show for the teen market, and Clark hired the group as regular performers, and the group soon became very successful. Lindsay's lanky stature and good looks, as well as exceptional singing voice, quickly gained him immense popularity. He became one of the premier American teen idols of the 1960s. So there you go. I hope you had as much fun with these music notes as I did while researching them for you. I'm called the Rock and Roll Realtor because I play with Cincinnati's greatest classic rock band, Bluestone Ivory. You can hear us on April the 6th at Jim and Jack's on River Road in Riverside. Later this summer, we're going to be at Keener Park in Westchester, Claremont County Pumpkin Run, Georgetown Music on the Square, and many other appearances. Just go to bluestoneivory.com for more fun stuff. I also play with the Westchester Symphony on April the 20th. We're going to have our fundraiser at the original Montgomery Inn. The theme is It's the Roaring 20s Once Again. I'll give you more information about that. In the U.S., the song If by Bread in 1971. In the U.S., Bread's tune was the shortest song title to become a top 10 hit. 1993, when Prince hit number 7 with his song called 7, later matched by Britney Spears' number 1 hit, 3, in 2009. The song is distinguished by its opening line, If a Picture Paints 1,000 Words. That's all my information about If and its history. So, I have with me Wesley Myers. He is with Priority Title, National Title Insurance. He is the little-known secret that we don't know much about because you're such an important role at the end. Title wouldn't change hands. Money wouldn't be taken care of. Taxes wouldn't be paid. Mortgages wouldn't be paid off. Those things wouldn't be recorded properly. But it's all done by humans, and there can be mistakes happen. So you need to protect yourself. I highly recommend to any buyer purchasing a property, I don't care who you're buying it from, but you got to look into and study what does owner's title insurance entail. It's an option in this part of the country. Other parts of the country, all over the country, I got people coming in from California and Arkansas and Florida, and they just think the seller automatically pays owner's title insurance, which they do in other parts of the country. The seller in the purchase contract is guaranteeing free, clear, and unencumbered title to a buyer. How are they guaranteeing that? Just saying, I guarantee it?
that's what it comes down to. Is in that conversation. We were talking earlier about insurance and that nobody likes paying for it, but you sure are glad you have it when something happens.
Oh yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. But with assets that you're purchasing in your life, cars, well, I guess stocks and bonds and all that wouldn't be part of the conversation. But when you're buying a home is sometimes the most money that most people spend in their lifetime. And on average, I don't know what stats say, you'd know better than me. I think I've heard it was most people on average own about 5 homes in their lifetime. So it's not like insurance you're buying every year. And it is a one-time investment when you purchase a property, when you purchase title insurance, owner's policy. When you purchase the policy, it's paid at closing, and you have that for the life of the time that you own the property.
And it doesn't cover the house. It doesn't cover the refrigerator, the roof, or the HVAC. It covers the instrument that gives you title to the property you purchased. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, it insures the title and insures any errors and omissions, like you mentioned, human error that happened prior to you owning the property. I actually brought this up at a closing yesterday. I asked the sellers, when was the house built? And they were like, 35 years ago. And then they told the buyers, you guys will be the 4th owners.
Ooh.
And so that house has exchanged hands 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even more prior to there being a building on the land. So when it was landowners,
Mm-hmm.
when a guy had the land, there's a lot of people that are investing in land these days. And they're just trying to make a quick profit, but they may be cleverly disguising that there's something, you don't know the reasons behind why people are selling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was. A lot of times, like we mentioned earlier about people, when they're selling property, they're wanting the money, right? They're selling because they're trying to exchange funds. They want the money, and you don't know the motivation behind that.
One of the biggest questions buyers ask is, why are they selling?
Yes.
Well, my answer is, so you can buy it. Let's get real, right?
Exactly. And that, I think there's no better way to say why that's what makes title insurance so important in that sense. It protects you for no matter what they're going through in their life, how many liens they're running from or trying to run from.
Billy Bob was an heir to the estate when Grandpa and Grandma sold it 4 owners ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he was missed because he was gallivanting around in Europe for many, many years.
Yeah.
And he shows up and he comes to Grandpa and Grandma's farm, and here it is a subdivision.
Yeah.
And he gets an attorney, and they knock on everybody's door, and he says, "You owe me."
Yeah. That can happen, 100%. That can happen. And
win, lose, or draw,
yeah,
you have to fight the battle.
Yep, and title insurance would cover you as an owner in that battle to pay for the fees, the attorney fees, and the litigation of that process. More of a more relevant example that is more prevalent is dower rights. You mentioned the state of Arkansas. There are 3 states in the 50 that are a dower state, in which Ohio, Kentucky,
and Arkansas. Yeah.
There's only 3 states. Well, here in Cincinnati, we have 2 states that, in our tri-state area, 2 of them are dower states. So what that means is you have a spouse. If you're married and you, in the state of Ohio or Kentucky or Arkansas, your spouse has rights to the property.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you bought it as an individual yourself, if in your name, if you are married, and title could be in your name. If you're married, your spouse must sign off their rights on that property. And too many times do I catch this at the closing table. This real estate transaction be under contract for 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are 60 days later at the closing table, documents are being signed, and I ask, "Hey, Mr. Seller, I see you're sitting next to somebody. I can't assume anything. Are you married?" And it opens into a joking conversation,
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to claim you now? Oh, man. Usually is fun. It's a little comedic relief, but I'm serious, too. I'm like, as of today, legally, as of today, are you married?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I get all kinds of stuff. I get the story of, well, we're legally married, but we're separated. We haven't seen each other in 20 years. And I'm like, okay, where's she at? She's in Arizona. Can she be here in 15 minutes? Because she has to sign these documents.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, nobody told me this? And so that's where, I'm looking at the buyers going, you've got title insurance, thank goodness, because if I wouldn't have asked this question and we were to close this deal.
And if they had a realtor and their realtor did not explain dower rights, shame on them.
Yeah. Yep. And here we are. And then that's where I enjoy that aspect of my job.
Yeah.
But I don't like having those conversations at that point in the process.
Yeah.
So I would really like to be introduced to your client prior to that, to where I can really explain that. And I'm opening myself up with, if you have clients that are interested, to a 3-way call, or just you'd like me to call them and have a conversation, I would be more than happy.
Another
to do
quick
that.
example, because we got to go to a break, but I had a client once. I explained owner's title insurance. It was about $1,100, and they decided to not do it. 2.5 years later, they're trying to refinance. Come to find out that the previous owner's mortgage is still a lien on the title. It was paid, but it was still showing up as a lien on the title. And they had to get that cleared up. Guess what? The mortgage company was a small savings loan in downtown New York that went out of business a year ago. It cost them almost $20,000 in legal fees to get that removed. Had they paid $1,100 when they bought the house, that'd have been covered.
Would have been covered.
Yeah. So there you go. Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour is brought to you today by Wesley Meyer with Priority National Title. His number is 513-847-1310, or look him up online at PriorityNationalTitle.com. Stay with us. Next, we're going to have a visit with Bill Kerrigan of the Dragonfly Foundation. You've been listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour on WDJO 1480 AM, now on FM 99.5 and 107.9.
Priority National Title Services is a locally owned title company licensed in 23 states, catering to residential, commercial, cash, and construction closings. Priority National Title has been serving clients for over 20 years, with offices in Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. Priority National Title offers title lien searches with a variety of services, including traditional closings, drive-up, and outdoor closings, and remote location closings. Priority National Title works real estate hours, with closings scheduled 7 days a week until 11:30 p.m. Call Priority Title today at 513-847-1310 or visit priority-national.com.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee. The 2024 Tour with very special guest Steve Winwood, live in Cincinnati. Performing at Riverbend Music Center August 18th. The Doobie Brothers with Steve Winwood. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit theDoobieBrothers.com.
Baseball season is just around the corner, and Epic Cards and Conversations is back on the air on a new day and time every Sunday at 11 o'clock. New day, Sunday, a new time, 11 a.m. Join host Ben Heckert, the owner of Epic Card Stock at Eastgate, every Sunday. He talks about the new 2024 Topps baseball cards, vintage sports cards, and all kinds of sports memorabilia. This show is for you, the collector, and you, the investor. So if you are into collecting new card issues or vintage sports cards and autographs or other memorabilia, especially Cincinnati Reds and Bengals-related material, then Epic Cards and Conversations should be appointment listening for you every Sunday morning at 11. Ben is always buying anything sports-related. So if you're looking to sell your cards, autographs, or memorabilia, stop in to Epic Card Stock at 761 Eastgate South Drive, directly behind the Fuji Steakhouse, which is right across from Jungle Gyms. Epic Card Stock in Eastgate. Buy, sell, trade, invest.
When you need the expertise of a top-notch plumbing company, it's Zinn's Plumbing you ought to call. Oh, they may be at the bottom of the alphabetical listing, but the service and pricing of Zinn's Plumbing puts them at the head of the class. They don't keep you waiting for hours on end on appointment calls. Zinn's Plumbing works within a 2-hour time frame, so you don't waste your time waiting for a service technician. And when a Zinn's plumber comes to solve your problem, you can feel confident the job will be done right. With Zinn's Plumbing, you'll always know what the cost will be before they start. They bill on a flat rate basis instead of an inefficient hourly billing system. Zinn's state-of-the-art trucks carry thousands of parts to complete your job with no needless delays. Well-trained professional plumbing technicians and courteous customer service are the hallmark of Zinn's Plumbing. It's a local family business proudly serving Greater Cincinnati since 1976. They can probably schedule your appointment today. Give Zinn's Plumbing a call at 681-2501. 681-2501. Zinn's Plumbing.
Get on. Let's rock the house.
Thanks for listening and watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour with yours truly, Gary Rossignol, your senior real estate specialist with RE/MAX Preferred Group. The Dragonfly Foundation, they support pediatric cancer families and patients by an amazing feat. They have built a network that connects Dragonfly families to each other and our community, and they provide programs to enhance their quality of life. These programs are in partner with the greatest children's hospital in the USA. That's our very own Cincinnati Children's Hospital. This gentleman calls in on my show every week. He is a board of director member of the Dragonfly Foundation. He has been their number one cheerleader and their number one fan for years. This is my friend, Mr. Bill Kerrigan. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How you doing?
We are doing fantastic. Just had a great show today. Looking forward to talking to you. And I know some things are starting to cook up in the Milford area, is it? Is it the
this is Loveland area.
Loveland area, right. March Madness. Got a couple of restaurants with some specials, huh?
Yeah, this is just fantastic. This is about the 5th or 6th year that Paxton's Grill and Ramsey's Trailside, if you're familiar with the bike trail down in historic Loveland, they are two anchor restaurants right there on the corner as you go into the park, and they're doing something very cool for us. They're going to donate a percentage of the food and drink proceeds during all the March Madness games. So those games, those games start on March 19th with the first 4 play-in games in Dayton, Ohio, and then we go right into the first weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games, and we'll whittle that field down to 32, and then 16, and then 8, and then 4, and then 2, and then a champion. But it runs the entire tournament, Gary. And I just, I'd like to just give Paxton's and Ramsey's and the guys that run those two great establishments, Ralph Dunnigan, who's been a friend since I moved back to Cincinnati, and John Zielke, who's another really good friend who I've established a relationship over the last 3 or 4 years. Those guys are so generous in the community. They actually have a golf outing that they do for cancer-free kids, which we also, obviously, in the same space, we're rooting for cancer-free kids as well. They run a golf outing every year, and they raise a boatload of money for cancer-free kids. So the fact that they also do this for us just means the world to us.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is huge. That is really.
Have you
really
been to either one of those restaurants, Gary?
I have
as well.
Been to both of them.
They're both outstanding.
Yes, top notch.
Paxton's is just that classic sports bar with lots of TVs. Just
The
great
Paxton's
pub
has
food.
they've got that Hofner bass guitar, which is what Paul McCartney played.
They absolutely do.
Hanging over their bar.
That's a cool spot, and that's a really cool rock and roll artifact that they have there to take a look at.
Yes, it
But
is.
they have big screens everywhere, just great burgers, great wings, wraps, salads, specials every day. It's a wonderful place to watch some basketball.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We have family birthdays, and I believe it was about 2 years ago our family chose to go to Paxton's for dinner for that, and that was very accommodating, great service, great food, and generous owners. That's very generous. That's very generous of them. So tell my listening audience briefly what the Dragonfly Foundation is and is not.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always appreciate you asking that question, Gary. We are here to support families that just got some of the worst news they've ever been given. And that is they have a child who's not feeling well. They go to the doctor can't figure it out. They have a battery of tests run, and then they get that phone call and that your child has been diagnosed with pediatric cancer of one form or another.
Mm-hmm.
And what you've seen, Gary, over the years, and I've seen it, is you drop everything. If you're mom and dad, you grab the siblings, you grab your young patient, and you hightail it to Cincinnati Children's Hospital because they want to get you into treatment ASAP. And in your haste to get them to Children's Hospital, you're going to forget a lot of things that you never would have thought to to pick up to bring to the hospital for an extended stay. And that's where the Dragonfly Foundation steps in.
All right. Yep.
We greet the families typically the second day that they're there because the social worker tells us, hey, we have a new family. We will go to greet them. We'll meet the family. We'll give them a large blue bag with our Dragonfly logo full of every supply they never could have thought they would have needed. And then from there, Gary, as you know, we provide all sorts of support for the families, from gift cards to events to get-togethers with other Dragonfly families. So we immediately give that family a sense of extended family in Cincinnati, whether they're from Cincinnati or whether they're from Sri Lanka.
Yeah. We're just about out of time, Bill, and I really thank you for calling in every week. I appreciate it. I'd like to thank everybody who watched on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and my guest, Wesley Meyer, with Priority National Title. If you're in ownership of a property you don't need, or you know someone with a property that they don't want or can't sell, just call me at 513-777-2402 or find me online at rockandrollgary.realtor. Always, always hug your kids, call your parents and siblings regularly, kiss your spouse every day, and move your clock ahead 1 hour before you put your head on the pillow tonight. Stay tuned for the Car Tech Show with Wesley Adams. And to stay in the car mode, this is a #1 hit by Wilson Pickett back in the day. Recorded live short version by Bluestone Ivory, Mustang Sally.
Thanks for another great show, and if you have any real estate question, just call me at 513-777-2402 or go to rockandrollrealestateagent.com. Thanks to all my sponsors who make this show possible, as well as Chris and Miles Beersford, brokers of RE/MAX Preferred Group. A special thanks to WDJO station manager Gary Stevens and my producer Dan Gettelfinger. I would also like to shout out to all my clients, friends, family, fans of Bluestone Ivory, the Dragonfly Foundation, and especially my wife Mary Jo. Until next week, keep knocking on my rockin' houses. So long for now.
The preceding program was a paid program. Its views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of this station or its management.
WDJO, Cincinnati.
Since 1936,